for you. They were waiting for me for, how long had they been waiting for? A minute. You understand? I went in the bathroom when I got there, but I asked the receptionist. They were in there for me for a minute because my mom got out much earlier than the receptionist had told me. That's how long they were waiting for me. And I have to be publicly scolded by the bitch who I haven't been able to stand for months and months because she always has something smart to say to me from day one. Okay? They were waiting for me for a minute. Again, the time it took them or the receptionist, someone to come knock on the door. That's it. A minute. And I walk into the waiting room and I'm publicly scolded by this fucking bitch. Okay? I no longer care. Do you understand that I'm telling you everything I'm telling you is the truth? They would switch, the psychiatrist would switch my mom's meds, and these people, they would save the old meds, which got very confusing for my mom, very confusing for me, because instead of just starting with the new med, they would cut the old one in half. But at some point, it was going back and forth, because I'd always look at her meds. She was coming on the weekends. Okay? And they would be filled, like right before she was coming. And I'd say, what is this? And my mind would be like, I don't know. And sometimes it would go back and forth, as if I'd have to look up on my computer, because at one point, the stupid benztropine was cut in half, okay? The benztropine cut in half looked the same as the brand new Zyprexa. So I didn't know which way was up, neither did my mom. And then there'd be different nurses, and my mom, this happened here, my mom was crying to me because the one was coming here, and she's like, the other one uses gloves. This one was picking up each of her meds. Because the one filled them, the other one brings them here. And she's like, what's this, saying this to my mom. And my mom didn't know because nobody communicates. And at one given moment, it can be the pill that's cut in half, but it can also start her new prescription. For example, let's say, she had her Zyprexa it was reduced from 50 to 10 to 5. So, yeah, you can take the 10 milligrams Zyprexa and cut it into 5 milligrams. You get it? Or you can start with a brand new 5 milligram pill. But if you switch it for a while and then whatever, you switch it back, maybe you run out of the new prescription, so you're going to save the old one. Think about it. If benztropine is 30 pills and you cut them in half instead of starting with the new 0.5 when she was on 1, what does that mean? It means you had 60 pills, you get it, of the 1 milligram. I'm sorry, you have 60 halves now, right, if you've cut in the 1 in half. But if in the meantime you save those, but you start suddenly with the 0.5 because I say something or whatever. But meanwhile, I was in a frenzy. On top of that, for months and months and months, my mom was paying for her meds, okay? Paying for her meds. And remember, once this shit hit the fan, once they went behind our backs and sent elder services to my mom's door for no reason, I wouldn't talk to them anymore. So I have to communicate with them through my mom or via, I'm not going to talk to them anymore. Okay? Which put my mom in a bad spot, but what am I supposed to do? So then my mom had been paying for her meds for months. Months and months, everything was fine, okay? Suddenly, along with the little, she's in dire straits because she had to borrow a quarter from someone at this place she goes to, that, it's a crime to them that my mom's begging for change. Meanwhile, we both forgot that she didn't have quite enough bus money to meet her friend, like she had planned on doing, at the last minute, and didn't have money to take her out, okay? But they don't know what's going on. And do you want to know why they don't know what's going on? Can you guys think of why they don't know what's going on? Because it's none of their fucking business! Okay? People are not perfect. People have lives. Just like when I messed up the little misunderstanding or whatever, and they're making out to me to be some kind of whatever. It was a misunderstanding. I'm used to handling everything. I'm used to this, okay? And Joe calls it hearsay. It doesn't matter if it's hearsay because they combine their ignorant misperceptions along with when my mom's sick and she gets irrational and thinks I'm a robot and tells people that I don't do anything for her and all I do is sleep, and you know what I mean? And that's all they don't know the truth because it's none of their business. My mom couldn't get a straight answer. Who called Elder Services? Why did you call Elder Services? I told you. After that, they wanted her to sign some piece of paper. She refused to sign it. So then, when she's sick, she gets all defiant. And Lord doesn't trust you, and neither do I. Should we be getting a lawyer, saying stuff, opening her mouth, okay? Because she's pissed, but she's laughed at, and so am I. Because they know I'm mentally ill, and they negate me. But meanwhile, I'm mentally ill, but able to see what's happening here. You're supposed to communicate with my mother. You're not supposed to, one hand is supposed to know at all times what the other is doing. You don't come here with meds that you didn't set up, and then they're new to my mom, because no one, and then ask my mom, what's this, and my mom gets all confused and upset, and then cries to me. And then, yeah. My mom is supposed to pay for her meds. That's what she's been doing month after month, okay? Through them. She gets the bill. Suddenly it stopped. Suddenly there are new meds in her container, okay? And we find out they're coming from a local pharmacy. Not only that, and I get the excuse, okay? Because at this point, Elder Service hasn't been called yet. At this point, I'm communicating with the nurse that had just started recently. And I'm like, why is this? Oh, because we just had to temporarily do that to get him fast. But it continued for 2 months, okay? I even had my mom give me permission to call up and see for how long she was getting this, not paying for it. And I said, but you're not paying. Oh, no, I get reimbursed. But why? Why is this happening? You get it? All this crap, they're spinning these little lies, and then Elder Services shows up at my mom's door. You understand? And they won't tell my mom anything. They just suddenly start paying for her meds. Again, all this can be proven. And on top of that, the local pharmacy, where they're suddenly getting her meds. And again, they're going to look differently. And then one time, we were freaking out because it looked differently, and I called up. It was on a holiday over the weekend, whatever. I couldn't find it online to see what it was. You never know, but to them, they're perfect, so I shouldn't be concerned. Well, how could they possibly mess up my mom's meds? I look up this med that I don't recognize, and it says it's something other than it should be. But again, nobody could find it because they'd switched back, because I'd complained or my mom was asking questions, but it took a couple months to switch back. My mom stopped seeing her psychiatrist for a couple months. No one would say why. They started paying for my mom's meds when she'd been paying by check all along. No one would say why. Like I said, they start thinking she's in dire straits because she borrowed a quarter. Meanwhile, she has thousands in the bank, but it's none of their business. Just, again, I use the analogy with Selena and Joe. I'm not, impoverished. I have money in the bank, but there could be a time where I'm begging for change for the bus simply because something happened. My purse got stolen or anything. You can't just jump to conclusions, but that's what these people do. And they wouldn't give my mom a straight answer about anything. They wouldn't respect me when I wrote very articulate letters saying, please this and please that, okay? Because I refused to talk to them anymore because I never knew when it would be that bitch. Just like the bitch drove my mom home 2 nights in a row and was in my place, my home, seeing my mess, okay? And meanwhile, come to find out, at this place my mom goes to, things have happened that I didn't know about because, again, they don't talk to me anymore, okay? Any more than I would tell them if my mom forgot to take her meds or something. But as far as I know, my mom has been taking her meds. And the time that she forgot, I was aware of. You think I'm going to communicate with these people when they go behind our backs and send Elder Service to my mom's apartment? I mean, because they're jumping to conclusions and they want to know. They want to know of everything that happened the years and years and years before they came a part of our lives. And again, this was 4.5 months in, okay? And I thought they were connected to her DMH worker. So in the letter I said, if so-and-so, the DMH worker, obviously he did deem it necessary to tell you every sordid detail of what went on in our lives prior to becoming a part of it. But if he does feel it's necessary, then that's his business. You get it? You have no right to sit there and drill my poor mother. Use your position of power. It's not right. It's not right. To try to confuse her, and she is confused and doesn't understand, and that's when I drew the line. When it was just between me and this bitch, I never said a word. But then what happens when I do have the the nerve to say a word, elder services shows up at my mom's door. Apartment where she lives on her own. And again, at that time she was well. But you know, they were just waiting for this fucking day that she's not well. See? They started paying for her meds. She didn't need her meds paid for. You understand? She didn't need these motherfuckers paying for her meds. She has plenty of money. She's been paying all along. But they get into their head that because she's borrowing a quarter, she has no money. Because you can't take a fucking shit now, my mom, without somebody knowing it, alright? And reporting it back to the other somebodies. And they all talk amongst themselves, and who knows what they're saying. And then we add to that, when my mom is a child and defiant and this, that, or whatever, she's not going to tell the whole truth, okay? She's making, she's mad at me, or she thinks she does nothing wrong, and if I get upset with her, she's going to run and say this, that, or whatever. But in her eyes, she does nothing wrong ever, see? Even waking me up in the middle of the night when she just went to bed and she should be asleep, and it's 2 in the morning, I just went to bed at 1, she just went to bed at 12, and she's up turning that horrible light on, shining it on the couch, waking me up out of sound sleep. I need you to open my pain medication right now. And I refused to do it, okay? She could have asked me hours and hours before if she was really in so much pain, alright? I told you I make doubts about that as well, okay? But to them, she's not going to say it was 2 in the morning and I should be in bed. She should be in bed, and she had just gone to bed, and she doesn't. She takes her meds at 12:30 and then is up at 3:30 or 4. All this crap. But they're going to assume she's not taking her meds at all. But I've seen in the past where I've even sat there and know she's taking her meds. She can still be sick and be taking her meds. Okay? But again, they are spinning this whole thing. They want to make it out like she moved back in with me, she doesn't take her meds, and I don't help her with anything, and I just lie around and do nothing, and I yell at her. All this crap is not true. That's what they're doing. They're spinning their little fucking tails. And in the meantime, over the last September, when Elder Service showed up at Mom's door, secrecy, secrecy, secrecy. No transparency. Tried to get my mom to sign a paper my mom wouldn't sign, and didn't like it when my mom said, I'm not signing anything unless you show it to my daughter. Did they make a copy and show it to the daughter? No, they just dropped it. What else? Oh, the one that said, the nurse that said, I don't understand why does Laura have to be involved in your meds at all when we're handling them? You know? No oversee. I'm not supposed to say anything. I'm told that my mom's the client and not me, etc., etc., etc. Meanwhile, my mom will have the mentality, even about her meds, that I've trained her. I don't care who it is, Mom. When I took care of her meds, they were never wrong because I'm anal and I checked them and double-checked them and whatever. You think these people that have 1 million clients besides my mother can't make a mistake filling her meds or have something new? They save the old bottles. They can't even go if it's a new prescription. They decide to save the old one and cut them in half. I asked the nurse, why do you do that? I don't want to waste meds. Oh my God. Do you know how many wasted meds there have been every time my mom goes in the hospital? Bottles and bottles and bottles of it. I had no idea what was going on, and my mom couldn't communicate, and even when I wrote articulate letters asking them to please respect me enough, this was after the whole elder services thing, to tell my mom exactly, write it down for her so she can tell me, okay? Pretty much because I don't want to talk to you guys, alright? Oh, and then guess what happened? And I actually called, and I got permission to not give my mom it that day, but think about this. My mom was taking Zyprexa in the morning, okay? A 15 milligram slow release tablet. So, flash forward, and it's been reduced down to 10 milligrams. But it's not slow release, and it's taken at night. You know where I'm going to go with this, right? The pills were set up for the new week. But if they're filled on, say, a Thursday night or a Friday night or whatever, she still has to have it for that morning. It doesn't matter what day they're filled, okay, because that would get confusing too. It doesn't matter. It overlaps because they have to be filled up to that morning. So say they're filled once a week, but they're filled up to Thursday morning or Friday morning. It doesn't matter. We'll just pick Thursday morning. Well, That morning, she took her 15 milligram slow-release Zyprexa. And what was in the night when they filled the new meds? Okay? Because her pills go all the way up to that morning. They give her a whole new med box. And the whole new med box would start, you'd start with that night. And what do you think was in the night? 10 more milligrams of Zyprexa. I was in a frenzy. Because I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know what the pill was, because remember, they're not respecting me. They're not going to tell me, or my mom, what these new medications are. They just do it. Okay? One time, and my mom thought one of her meds was going to be reduced after talking to her psychiatrist, and they wound up reducing a different med. Either my mom gets confused, or who knows, it doesn't matter. The fact is, no communication, and I'm left like, what do I do? I don't want to call over there because I could easily get the bitch. You know, the bitch could be there anytime. Just like she was the one who drove my mom home 2 nights last week when I was in shock and not dressed and never didn't want anyone to see this place until it was cleaned up. So what do? I was crying. I didn't know what to do. I knew my mom had taken the 15 milligram that morning. She shouldn't be taking another 10 milligram that night. But that's what was there. So I didn't know what to do. I was in a frenzy. So I called. And luckily didn't get the bitch. Got someone else who was nice and got permission and explained the situation. But you see what happens here? This should have never happened. Had it been my mom in her own apartment, she would have taken the pill like a good little girl. I noticed something off. I knew this was a new medication, and I had to look it up on my computer to see what it was. And what was it? It was a new Zyprexa being taken at night. You see? And then another time when this new nurse had started, I was so scared because I know about this. It was after all that bitch had been doing insane stuff about me and accusing me of doing things that. And then we have the new nurse starting, and my mom's meds were like, I didn't recognize them. My mom didn't. She couldn't explain to me what was going on, and I was afraid to call, but I wanted to know. And then that new nurse was so nice. She's like, "Oh no, that's your mom. You can always ask anything." And she was so nice in the beginning. Wolves in sheep's clothing. I liked her too a lot, but then she did an about face, because all that had to happen was I had the nerve to write letters and accuse, not her, mind you, but someone she's only just met recently, but doesn't matter, because I'm mentally ill, my mom's mentally ill, and she's always going to believe her coworker. It doesn't matter. You understand where we're coming from here, people? She was so nice in the beginning. My mom adored her. I adored her. It took her this long to change her colors. This long to be saying, after the shit hit the fan, to you know, they didn't like it when my mom got upset. I didn't have to be in the picture at all. I could have died, and my mom would still be upset that elder services showed up at her apartment. You understand? But she gets nowhere. Her DMH worker said, "Oh, I'll get to the bottom of it." He got to the bottom of nothing. She questions these people who she now refers to as her friends, because what is she supposed to do? What is she supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? There's no solution. Because in this world, she needs those people in her life, which means she doesn't need me. That's how I feel. It's the truth. If I can't get rid of these people, and they don't respect me, and they do whatever they want with my mom, and they treat me like shit, then the only solutions it's viewed in that world, they all own her now. She signed her life away. She doesn't need me. I leave. I exit the picture. What else is there to do? Didn't know what to do. My mom kept telling me to get a lawyer, and I tried. I told you, I'm not an idiot. I know what I'm talking about, and that lawyer listened to me. He wasn't blowing me off. He really listened, but he was too busy. I mean, over the phone, a phone consultation. But I'd already written, you understand? He already knew the scoop. He'd already been respecting me enough to read what I'd written, and he still talked to me knowing that he couldn't take the case anyway. And it's also hugely, hugely complicated. Most lawyers don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Understand? There's no solution. There's no solution. The only solution is to move far, far away, and it's probably too late. When my mom gets sick, she gets diarrhea of the mouth. She starts telling the enemy her plans of selling her house or me moving out or any number of things that we want to keep secret. And when she's well, she knows we want to keep secret, including if we're trying to find an attorney. We keep secret. So now I don't care. You understand? I don't care. I have seen that I don't matter. I write letters. I complain. Think about that Zyprexa thing. That could have been bad. It could have been bad. When my mom was first gotten out of that hospital, you know, before these people, before she signed her life away through her DMH worker who didn't even remotely say what we were really getting into, and we didn't know what it would lead to. And I thought he was a part of them. They're separate. I was horrified when my mom said they don't even know him, and I thought they were on, you know. Oh my God. It threw us to the wolves. It threw us to the wolves. In the beginning, I was trusting them and liking them just as much as my mom did, so I'm just as bad. But what do? You know, I didn't know. Didn't know. But anyway, I was afraid of the Zyprexa because way back when my mom got out of that regular hospital, I told you that she landed in that awful mental hospital the third time in a few years. I have it all documented. And yet again wound up in the ER from there because they treat her like a human guinea pig, okay? Different doctors, different ways of treating her like a human guinea pig. I mean, it's not like she gets the same doctor. That was reserved for this motherfucking other hospital where I wasn't allowed to say, you discharged my mom too soon last time. The case manager would never return my calls and patronized me. I want a different doctor and a different casework. I'm told by crisis I have a right to ask about that. Your mom has to request that. End of story. You know, my mom who's under duress has to think to request something like that. Anyway, a different doctor every time she went in this one, but it didn't matter because they all horrible. All are horrible. Anyway, Zyprexa, she was put on in the regular hospital where they kept her safe for like a month. Because they agreed with me. She keeps winding up. You know, if we discharged her 4 days ago and she's back in our ER 8 hours after we bring her back, we send her back there, there's something wrong. I'm going to listen to the daughter and keep her safe here and not send her back there. I begged them. Okay. And they justified it somehow. They did every test under this. They just kept her there. They were not going to. And then when they weren't going to keep her there anymore, they looked everywhere, everywhere. Spent a long time because I was on regular communication with them trying to find anywhere but that place where she had landed in their ER. Like I said, 2 days after going there, and then they send her back 4 days later, and she's back there within 8 hours. I mean, that's sickening. That's terrifying. And they listened to me, but if there was no me to listen to, you know, she could have been dead, or she could have been whatever, you get it? I have been endlessly advocating for my mom and fighting for my mom, as I have playing on my home message right now, and these people get to walk into our lives and just sit there in judgment and not know shit about anything. Anyways, Zyprexa, was supposed to be a slow release thing, okay? So it's supposed to be taken every 24 hours. But what happened was I didn't realize that. And I think what happened, she had forgotten to take it on a morning, so we gave it to her that night. But then we still gave it to her the next morning, and there was only this many hours in between. And she was reacting negatively. She was all She was doped up. And I called the pharmacy. I'm like, is she in danger or something? They're like, no. I mean, she's going to be a little, because it's supposed to be a 24 hours in between the slow release, and you did it 12 hours, so she has it all in her system right now, but it's okay, Laura, don't worry about it. So I'm remembering that it happened months and months and months before when they fucked up. If you're going to start my mom on a night Zyprexa of 10 milligrams, then that night when you know she already took the 50 milligrams that morning should have been empty of Zyprexa, and then we start the next day, which is what we wound up doing. But my mom was in a panic, I was in a panic, I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't gonna talk to that fucking bitch. Anything I ask her, she puts me down, okay, and it could easily be her there, you understand? They take turns. It could have been her, and I wouldn't have talked to her. And then would I made my mom take the Zyprexa? I don't know. But I'm telling you that it's dangerous, this rift between me and these motherfuckers who, dude, they did it. They went behind our backs and sent illness services to my mom's door for nothing. If it was for anything, her primary care physician wouldn't have told them, she's fine, as long as she takes a medicine, she's fine. He didn't understand why he was being called at all, okay? They took it upon themselves. My mom, her competency is in question, because that's the only reason in their little puny brains there could possibly be for why she's renting an apartment elsewhere and I'm living here. End of fucking story. There's no solution. There's no solution except for me to fucking walk away and give them what they have wanted all along secretly, and only a moron doesn't see it. But they'll deny it to their deathbeds because they need my mom to love them. I'm the bad guy. I tell her she shouldn't go to the Patriots Parade alone, and they're like, well, you know, have a good time or whatever. They're not going to try to talk her out of it. It's not their place on the one hand, but on the other hand, they are going to scrutinize every little fucking thing I do or say. Alright? When it comes to my mother, their client. But they're off the hook. They can't stop her from doing anything any more than I can, but they want to irrationally make me responsible for everything and take as the gospel truth every last little word my mother says against me when she's pissed off because, say, I'm sick and I had said I'd get her a smartphone and I wasn't able to do it, or things came up, or this, anything you can think of. Alright? I can't live like this. I can't live like this. I cannot live like this. Just walk away. It's probably too late anyway. On top of that, we've got my aunt watching every fucking word. And Churchwoman is like, she said she's out of the picture for good. She always says that, and then she worms her way back in the first opportunity she gets, Churchwoman. Don't think otherwise. I have it all documented. Everything documented. I'm mentally ill, but I'm smart. And I'm treated like a fucking piece of shit in this life.